his control warrior, his baby, that he has, I don't even know how many games on.
Yeah, many is the word I'm going to go for. More than anyone else in the world, probably combined. But Fibonacci is playing the Dead Man's Hand warrior, which its main point is to go infinite and make a lot of armor. So versus a deck like Dogs, which is that is the Clone Priest.
Yeah.
Yes, they can do absurd amount of damage, but this deck can get absurd amounts of armor, so it's going to be, you know, there's going to be a critical mass in which the armor just negates the kind of levels of damage the dog can do without help from a card like Lyra, like, you know, the Shadow Visions getting more Mind Blasts or, you know, some such way.
To be honest, though, I am going into this matchup blind. This deck that that Fibonacci is playing, I don't think anyone else has brought it in Dead Man's Hand Warrior. It is his signature twist. As you can see, they're playing 2 copies of Dead Man's Hand, meaning he can shuffle the other Dead Man's Hand with the first Dead Man's Hand, going infinite effectively in terms of fatigue. He will never ever be fatiguing. The problem is not that he will be fatiguing in this matchup, it's that he will be burst down. Can he gain armor quickly enough to counteract the extreme combos that we've seen Xeric's Cloning Gallery Priest pull off?
Yeah, it's one of the double-edged sword for this deck is it gains tons of armor and goes infinite, but it isn't odd. So it doesn't gain as on-demand armor as Odd Warrior does, where you just press the button every turn, +4, +4, +4 for the rest of the game. This is regular Warrior hero power, so only 2 a turn, but there are other ways, and we see Dry Whisker armor is one of those ways.
Yeah, Dry Whisker, it obviously got some tools in recent expansions as well with the Weapons Project, which, because of the dominance of Odd Warrior, has not been seeing as much play as I think it deserves, because Weapons Project is an insanely powerful card. I absolutely adore that card.
And there it is, on time. Also as well, Fibonacci will want to kill... It's a weird way to play against this Clone Priest, because sometimes you feel like you don't want to kill a minion, but then you have to, because it's going to kill you otherwise. But Fibonacci won't want this to live, not because of the coin or anything else, but because it'll chip at armor every single turn, and you want to gain as much as possible without taking all of this annoying chip damage that can occur.
But as I'm just looking at the way these two hands kind of shake up against each other, when Dog goes for Xeric's Cloning Gallery, if it isn't the one-turn kill, which it often is, of just going for double Mind Blast when you get Malagos and Velen, Fibonacci could just go Dry Whisker, Warpath, gain a crazy amount of armor. What is that, like 28 armor in one turn? That's really scary for Dog. Will he be able to come back against that? Because Fibonacci has so much removal in this deck to kill off each of these minions one by one.
Old Dog might have to learn a new trick here and adapt to this deck, because maybe he just waits till he draws stuff and just plays a Velen, plays a Malagos, get it in the pool. Because looking at this list, there isn't Tinkmaster Overspark, so Fibonacci can't negate the deaths of the minions in any way, or mess with Dog's deck in a way that can really mess him up.
Disagree. He's got Cornered Sentry. He can just throw down 3 beasts into the Death Rattle pool, or the Resurrection pool for Dog, which means we could be seeing, similar to last time, a bunch of weenie little raptors being resurrected instead.
Yeah, I was meaning more like if you just play a hard Malagos, he can't turn it into a Squirrel, and Malagos is gone for the whole game. But you are right, you can mess with the Resurrects with the Raptors.
Agree.
These Death Knights probably not going to be played too much. At least for a while. Probably not. Oh, this is frustrating as well for Dog. Dog kind of just getting beaten up now, which is the joy that Ziliax brings. We saw the other way around with the Spider Bomb in Ziliax from Dog last game. Scream on a 6/6.
This is showing the disrespect that Dog shows to any kind of minion development at all that Fibonacci can throw down. And I think rightly so. Like, what has this deck got? It's all removal and all relying on just outlasting your opponent.
Well, I think as well, most importantly, is if Fibonacci goes aggressive, Dog's probably happy with that, because it's more likely he can kill him.
Yes.
And now we see Fibonacci going for slightly unexpected, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But who knows with this deck? Going for the Garrosh, which is basically 12 damage with the weapon. The hero power deals 1 to the board. But I think this is mainly, I'll use this to gain some armor, get the weapon, and I'll play Boom next turn to overwrite it and start gaining either armor or discovers for minions.
This definitely tells me he's planning on playing Boom, because the 1 damage to everything, it can cycle Acolyte, it can deal with a Xeric's Cloning Gallery board, but it's not doing much. It's really not the hero power you're looking for this game. But I'm very surprised to see it coined down there.
See Dog just slamming Velen because, like I said, there's no real punish for playing Velen. It gets it into the res pool.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe it survives. There's a chance.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And there it is.
Shield Slam going to get the job done. But yeah, I mean, we're going like full Bird Box challenge on this one because we both, or at least I just said that, yeah, with Death Knight's probably not going to be played. You'll just spam armor all game. Maybe go for Boom very, very late on. And then Fibonacci's like, nope, on curve.
Yep.
Like, what do I know about this deck?
He's He's obviously got the ordering right. You definitely want the Boom second, just because of the 1 in 5 to get armor. But even then, it's surprising to see, to say the least. And I think indicative of the evolving perception of Dr. Boom in any kind of warrior deck. Back in the olden days, people were wondering, you know, do you play in the odd warrior mirror? Do you just kind of armor up for as long as possible to get for fatigue? And I think more and more people have realized you just play it. The value is just so obscene that you get from it.
I will say as well, maybe, you know, shoot Fibonacci a message later or something, but maybe the Scream made him want to play more aggressive. Because if one natural Screamer's gone, but they have one left and then maybe Discovers, but then they screamed one minion, and what if I just make mechs for the rest of the game? How do you actually defend if you can also gain armor at the same time? I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, Derek. No clue.
Nice little raptors.
It'll be interesting to see as Fibonacci is letting rip with one of the Dry Whiskers right away, which I do find quite surprising. I thought he was going to be holding back on this for a Xerix Cloning Gallery turn.
I wonder if there's a world where you get Dry Whisker, the Cornered Sentry, and Warpath, and into Dead Man's Hand rotation. So you just play that every single time. I mean, it's chugging possible, armor. Right? Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Back in the day when there was still Cold Light Oracle in the deck, the combo is what you just go bring it on, execute, and Cold Light Oracle with the Garrosh hero power. You just killed everything every turn and gained like 20 armor every turn. It was nuts.
Doug's going to have to quickly piece together a way to win, because the longer he puts 0 pressure on, the more armor he has to get through. There's Dead Man's Hand as well.
Just the one. If Fibonacci did want to go for a full infinite combo, or infinite no fatigue, he would have to get the second Dead Man's Hand, obviously, which I think he's possibly working towards.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost certainly not just going to die at this point. So I don't mind holding on. I wonder if, you know, how much... Like, Cloning Priest is a popular deck.
Yeah.
And Fibonacci has obviously prepped for this tournament. I wonder just how many games he's played and what the thought process or learning process was of this particular matchup.
Because I think for a player like Fibonacci as well, I would say for Death Star, with him being a hunter specialist, I think most of their prep time will have gone on their non-specialist class.
Right.
If they want to solidify up the rest of their matchups, they're not able to just play their favorite deck over and over, because he's already great at it. He can figure out pretty much any matchup because he's played, I don't know, 20, 30,000 games with this Control Warrior now.
Now double Dead Man's Hand is there. And looks like Fibonacci's just going for it. When you go in Infinite this early and against a deck that has much less pressure, there's less emphasis on what your hand is right there, because you can always wait and do it again with a better hand.
Yes.
It's not like you're down to your last 5 cards and this is the hand I've got for the rest of the game.
I think I like going for the shuffle there when he has draw in the form of shield block and also armor in the form of shield block and Dry Whisker armorer, because he is getting up to that point where it will be difficult to kill him. Xerix Cloning Gallery is not an infinite OTK. And here Dog clearly is wondering, I guess, does he want to play Xerix Cloning Gallery at all because of the dilution to his Resurrect pool? Does he want to get out the cards like Radiant Elemental and Gilded Gargoyle from the deck? Or does he just want to be guaranteeing he resurrects Malagos, Velen, Lyra every single time he plays one of these Spellstones or Servitudes?
I think he does have to go for it, because the longer he waits and tries to get fancy, the more armor Fibonacci gets, the more mechs he gets, the more aggression he gets, the more he draws into more Dead Man's Hand. You know, I don't know. I think there has to be a decision made very soon Obviously, we're not in Dog's head, place I'm sure many people would like to be.
Yeah.
But I think something has to happen because already there's 55 health.
I don't know though. I'm actually starting to wonder for Dog. What actual discrete benefit does he get from playing Xeric's Cloner Gallery? It's not just a good card that he can play. What does it do for him in this matchup? It summons Malagos from the deck, which I believe has not died yet this game. It's only been Velen, which is obviously good to get that in the pool. But it dilutes it so much that I think, on average, maybe it's better to just wait for Malagos.
And we see there, his mind game's going to be played because it summons a minion. You don't want more minions, right? Yeah, especially a minion from this deck. They all suck.
They do all suck.
Oh, Shadow Visions for 0 into another Shadow Visions for 0. We saw this in game number 1. Is it going to work out a little bit better for Dog in game number 3?
Oh, here comes the Servitude as well. Oh, the same option. No Velen yet again.
Lyra.
He's going for it.
Oh, my.
Have you not learned from your mistakes, Dog?
Oh, my. Look at this. Okay, if I smite him enough times, he'll die.
The value overwhelming.
Oh, wow, okay. It's going to reduce the cost down even more and buff the elemental.
Get the APM going, Dog. This is what you've trained for.
This was me. I'd be like, Mind Blast, Mind Blast. just be like,
just concede.
Yeah, Mind Blast, Mind Blast. Didn't get more Mind Blast. Concede. Done. Next game.
As obviously Fibonacci has myriad ways to deal with this big board of light.
Stuff.
Yeah, just general
yellow
elemental energy.
Yeah.
It's like a board of custard.
Yeah. I don't even like custard. Do you like custard?
Love custard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
What do you mean it's weird? It's delicious.
It's like gravy that you have for a sweet thing. I don't know.
Sugar egg gravy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just weird. I don't know.
As Kaboom is surprisingly effective here. I would not anticipate it to be so good in this matchup.
Weapon's very effective too.
Oh,
Finally, Pippin actually getting a swing out of that thing. Also, again, ooh, Vivid Nightmares. That's unfortunate because that is a very powerful tool when you need to push extra damage.
Very much.
But Fibonacci as well. He played Grom because, Garrosh, because it just didn't matter. The weapon never gets destroyed because Dog's deck does not run any weapon removal. So you could just hold on to this weapon very freely and get those value trades.
Servitude being found is obviously pretty nice for Dog, but instead he's holding off yet again,
Raptor.
trying to go for Spellstone, and he gets, another pretty pitiful selection of minions resurrected here. Has a Velen even died? Am I misremembering?
No, he played Velen.
He played Velen,
got
shield slant, yeah. It's just every time it's been these minions.
Raptor Velen.
Yeah. And I guess, obviously, the more they die, the more likely they are to be resurrected, but even so.
Is that the case? I always get confused. Yeah. Because it's just a one.
Yeah.
Like, this one thing has died, so it can be res.
Right. Yes, sorry, yeah, you are.
Spark Drill. Obviously, all mechs have rush anyway, but the high attack on this one, the low health, is fine.
Really not
You're
bad.
using it to trade, right? You don't care.
I think you just wanted anything magnetic there, to be honest, just to throw
also
down
true.
the Brilliant Nullify to smack it through to face.
Shadow Essence, a little bit annoying because it's very likely, I think, that's a Malagos if he Shadow Essences now.
Yeah, pretty likely. 1 out of 4.
The custard spray all over the board, and there we go.
Getting hungry.
So now I wonder, where does this Saiyans come down?
Like, we saw in the first game, when he Saiyansed Lyra, he just couldn't play it for the whole game, really, could he?
Right.
In that instance, he was under a lot of pressure, whereas in this one, he's not at all. So maybe he just goes for the most expensive option in Malagos. Maybe he goes for the Gargoyle for the coin, just so he can get the biggest combo possible. Just go for Spellstone, Mind Blast, coin, whatever, and just try and go for the biggest combo possible. Maybe he goes for Radiant for the same reason. I can see merit to all of these plays. Yeah.
If only there was a Lyra on the board now and you can seance the Radiant and things get funky. The Vivid Nightmare miss was, or burn, should I say, was a problem though.
Yeah.
That adds so much extra damage to any given turn.
think I like this copy of the Radiant just because he can then go for, hopefully get the Miracle Resurrection off of the Spellstone and get Velen and Malagos, and then go for play the Radiant, play the Eternal Servitude, you know, just get everything.
Can you do anything with Radiant cloning gallery next turn, especially with that coin?
That's interesting.
Because he gets like Malagos. He gets the same again, right?
Yeah.
So he'll get a Radiant, a Gargoyle, a Malagos, no Ziliax. I'm just wondering, because this is where your mind has to just travel, basically, down the many different paths of what's going to happen here. It's going to be fair.
You have to let your mind enter Floating Leaf as you try and figure out what on earth is going on. As is Princess Talanji?
I'm just looking at her car. Darren Brown.
How does that even interact with Dead Man's Hand? They'd be shuffling a lot more and more into their deck.
Right, but it wouldn't be chain shuffles.
Yeah, I think he's realized it would hurt him.
Yeah. Also, he is just behind as well because of the first Dead Man's Hand being played. I was just for a second, you're like, car, wait, do I just win? Well, unfortunately not with Dead Man's Hand.
I was looking at Princess Talanji because maybe he could go for some kind of seance things, but he doesn't actually have that many minions added to his hand.
Right.
It's almost there. Almost.
Also, isn't that a battle cry?
Well, yeah, but he could just go for some kind of a big play where he summons the... Oh, no, sorry. Oh, right. It was off of the... Yeah.
Yep.
My mistake, sorry.
I'll let you off.
Thank you.
Get one, and it wasn't used in round 1, game 3. We're going to have a long day ahead of us now.
Sorry, right.
It's something I've done many times, though. Free for Amber. Oh, look at this battle cry. Like, oh, no! It's free from Amber.
I mean, I'm just trying to think as laterally as possible in this matchup because this is not Dog's standard game plan. I feel for Fibonacci, things are just going as expected. He's gaining armor. Yeah. He's just killing everything that comes down, shuffling in the good cards back into his deck. It's pretty simple stuff.
Oh no. Dead Man's Hand from Devout Mind. And Dog's just pulling the trigger. He's just saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. I need to do something right now. And things are getting a little, oh my god, surrender to madness.
There's a Vivid Nightmare.
Weapons Pro Deck 2 is nice and cheap.
Gives his opponent 6 armor there.
That's a good point. What is this game? Is this the worst person to run into for Dog in this whole tournament? Because this deck must just feel unbeatable.
I don't know. I mean,
Warrior, I'm not sure.
I honestly don't. I would imagine on average this is not that bad of a matchup. Like, I think the ability for Xeric's Cloning Gallery Priest to just go Xeric's Cloning Gallery and then destroy your opponent is pretty high. And the Warrior needs time to set up that Dead Man's Hand combo, but Dog here has just given Fibonacci the ability to do that.
Suddenly, though, with those Mind Blasts expended, there needs to be something there.
Yeah.
Shadow Essence again, so there's Gargoyle, Elemental, and Malagos in the deck. So Shadow Essence would pull one of those as a 5/5?
Yes.
I wonder.
But what does that even do?
If you get Malagos, I mean, he's played the Mind Blast, right? So he can't even do any burst damage.
This is the issue now. So Dog just unloaded almost every damage he has in the deck.
Yeah.
And his opponent's on 56.
Does he have to rely on... I mean, I know you kind of said it as a meme for Devour Mind to hit Dead Man's Hand, but I think that might be one of his best shots at this point.
But he'll only be able to do it once, right?
But maybe that just gives him the time he needs to accrue the... Oh man, I don't even know.
Dead Man's Hand smite often enough, you will eventually smite them down.
Well, because the thing is with Dead Man's Hand Warrior is it's not just the fact that it has infinite time because it never hits fatigue. As it distills its deck down to like 3 or 4 cards that it shuffles more and more, it becomes incredibly powerful.
Right.
Like that same thing it does every turn is often gain 10 armor, kill a minion, and, you know, draw a bunch of cards as well.
Again,
exactly, yeah.
It's like what a lot of people say, right? If you could play like a 2-card Hearthstone deck that just cycles, you would.
Exactly,
right? But again, you know, this is going to have to be some extremely creative thinking, and you've got to just lean towards Fibonacci here, because when one player has to do, you know, jump through hoops to win a game, and the other player has to just put their feet up and do what the deck does, you've got to favor the more relaxed player in this situation. So this is probably... Oh, this Raptor is laughing at Dog right now. This is just savage.
As once again, Dog's famous APM is going to have to be his saving grace here. What can he get to try and pull this one back?
Just going to commit to it. Mind games into, I don't even know what minion is even left. A 3, 4, okay, whatever. Oh, okay. Any kind of resurrects and any kind of damage spells, you always have to just say, right, what can happen now?
Yeah, very nicely playing the cloning device, going into 10 cards, so he doesn't have to add one of these bad minions to his hand.
Another Devour Mind.
If he can clear up hand space, that could give him the 2 Dead Man's Hand he needs.
Well, there'll only ever be 1 in the deck.
But he plays both of them, right? He just plays 2 Devour Minds
to
get the same Dead Man's Hand twice.
Yeah, sorry, he still has the second one. I thought he played the first one in that rotation, but yeah, no, you're completely right. What is this game, Derek?
I don't think that's outside the realms of possibility. Maybe he's just going to die, because this Brilliant Nullifier is starting to get rich.
And there's still the Spark as well.
Yeah. Oh, but we see Fibonacci even just attacking his minion there, rather than taking the face damage, because what he's afraid of is burst. He still knows it could finish him.
Also as well, Fibonacci has another Discover Mech next turn, so he's got plenty of juice. Oh, no, second Royal Guard of the day? Oh no, okay. I didn't know whether he was going to Royal Guard and then just not take the face damage, but it's unimportant in terms of health. So he's going to get the Devil Saw, and maybe Dog can win off the back of a Devil Saw in 2 games today. Which would be incredible. Yeah,
this Devil Saw has its work cut out for it if it's going to be taking down the 56 health that Fibonacci has managed to accrue.
And this is why the drill was picked. As you can see, it is almost always 1-for-1 in terms of removal, and then we still see drill picked again because it's just my 1 card will probably kill anything you play.
I wonder if, like, because I was going to say he has to get lucky and hit the actual Dead Man's Hand. After Fibonacci gets down to an incredibly small deck size, maybe Dog could get himself to a nigh on 100% chance, or at least like a, you know, a 75% or something.
Even a 50-50 chance is like pretty good to like get out of this hole he's in.
I wonder.
Got up the most meager Witchwood Grizzly we've seen for a long time. It's like, hey, I'm a 3-2.
Yeah, Witchwood Raptor instead.
I wonder.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean...
There are so... I mean, even Thought Steal, he can Thought Steal a Dead Man's Hand.
Yep, that's another shot at it, right? Yeah, Shadow is here. Hits the Malagos.
Okay, okay. Madness. He just needs to get stuff out of his hand, and the mana probably doesn't matter too much. He buffs his Malagos in deck.
This was his plan all along.
He's a
he
genius.
gets the 6/14 Malagos. But this, I mean, even though it looks more and more like Fibonacci is locking up this game, and I think he is still very much in the lead at the moment, this is the problem with playing a deck that does not have an infinite or an ultimate win condition that you're moving towards. This is like playing Control Paladin as opposed to OTK Holy Wrath Paladin, because you just give your opponent all the time in the world. This is the absolute extreme of that, when the deck has pretty much literally no pressure. It can't pressure its opponent.
Yeah. And the one thing I will say, though, this is only relevant in certain matchups, right? If this was Rogue, he'd be dead. Like, you know, because the amount of damage that's come out, obviously he would be dead. But, you know, that's why people bring different decks to tournaments, to target certain things. And Fibonacci saying, I will just out-armor any of this stuff.
Nice little raptors.
I'll say, though, bear in mind, Dog does have his Warlock left, which I think is looking pretty good against Fibs overall.
If this was Mechathune Warlock up against Warrior, this
would be over 20 minutes ago.
So long ago. Oh, my God.
Because that's almost impossible the opposite way, right? Like, how does Dead Man's Hand Warrior get close?
Oh, he's got the first Dead Man's Hand there off of the Thought Steal. That's 1.
I mean, we're joking, and it would be cool, but...
Maybe it just goes to the turn limit.
Oh! Oh! Okay. He still has 1 more. One more go.
Fibonacci knows what's up, though. He knows there's a pretty good chance there
Oh my god.
that there's 2 Dead Man's Hand in Dog's hand right now.
I'm just getting flashbacks to round 1 last weekend, Derek, where we'll just never end.
Maybe we can actually break the record again this weekend for the longest game of Fast playoffs. I still think it probably won't hit the turn. But he's clearing up hand space.
Now these buffed up little minions here.
He has to hit it right. He got it! He's got double Dead Man's Hand.
Oh yeah, 3 cards in the deck.
He had to hit it, unless Fibonacci drew it that turn, which we could see he couldn't. Fibonacci pretty much knows he's got it. This could just go to the turn timer.
I'm gonna step away from it, Derek. I'll be back in a bit. You take it away. Fibonacci
so
even knows.
the usual.
Ooh.
It's too full.
Nice. I can appreciate a good joke. It was no joke. Okay, so suddenly we're into
Oh my god, this is the
Get
first
comfortable.
match. This is the first
it's just
match
last
of
week
the
all
weekend.
over again. And the problem is, Dog still has like 2 Eternal Servitudes. He has Power Word Replicate. Like, he has stuff to do. It's not like his Dead Man's Hand in Power Word Shield, right? Where it's like, I can never die to fatigue, but I can never win.
But it just gets cancelled out. Like the executes, the shield slams. Fibonacci never runs out of removal. He's got Harrison Jones to hyper draw through his deck to get to the Dead Man's Hand once again. You and me both, Dog.
I needed the bathroom before we started this series, Derek. So Warpath gonna clear up all of this without too much problem. He has the hero power if he wants to just dump the 3 dudes in.
Yep.
And now... So, in all seriousness, when the turn timer hits, it's the highest health total, right?
The highest armor total wins, which means Fibonacci will win the game.
Unless Dog can continually resurrect enough dudes to beat him down.
Right. I think, though, they just perfectly cancel out.
Right.
Like, the resurrections on one side, the executes and shield slams on the other.
I guess, would Fibonacci have to just, like, whiff on his hero power and armor up, like, 5 times in a row to, like, make a dent, maybe? I'm just trying to think of extremes. Because now, look, now there's just Malygos, now there's just Resurrect, now there's more Harrisons, now there's more Dead Man's Hand. You know?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the average player piloting this Dead Man's Hand deck, I think absolutely could get themselves in a situation where they don't have the necessary removal. Fibonacci's been in this situation so many times. He knows exactly what he's trying to distill his deck down to. I'm starting to get the impression that Dog maybe made like a dark bargain with Born Samdi to make an incredibly entertaining stream where stuff like this happens, but to just curse his tournament play,
that's
where he has to sit through stuff like this.
Enjoy your viewers and everyone wanting you to take your shirt off. But when it comes to tournaments, you will have the longest, most complicated and grueling games you've ever seen. Dog's like, okay. It shakes the hand straight away. It's like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
And I have the worst of it because I have to cast this, and believe me, no one wants me to take my shirt off.
Maybe they do. Maybe we've just not found the right people for you yet, Derek. Tweet.
Nope.
How many people, how many requests would it take, Derek?
A Twitter poll. Welp.
That belongs in a
Oh
museum.
my god, it's just Harrison Wars. Also, Fibonacci is very good against Spark Trails. I've lost count of which ones he actually discovered and which ones were Dead Man's Hand, but he has a lot, and that is just 6 mana kill a minion.
Maybe, I mean, the thing is, like, what you're saying, I'm saying maybe Dog loses this. At the moment, I still think Fibonacci is pretty firmly in the lead because Dog just never sticks anything.
Is it... what if Dog ends up with double Servitude, double Deadmans? That's his hand. Right? And he just keeps resin big minions. And the second Fibonacci doesn't have 2 removals straight away,
But that's
they get to attack. And then he does that another 8,000 times, and Fibonacci might lose some armor.
But that's a 4-card hand, right? And he has no draw in that,
That's
which means
true,
it would
that's
only
true.
come round every 3 turns, I believe.
Right. Which should then give Fibonacci time.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, as it's currently standing, it still looks like Fibonacci's in the lead, because obviously he's got the board at the moment, and also, as we said, the official ruling is if it gets to a draw at the turn limit, the higher health total, including armor, is declared victor.
And also, as well, you look at this now, this is where the hero power lends itself to Fibonacci, because not only can he gain armor, he can discover new threats.
Exactly.
He can deal damage, he can make more minions, you know, whereas heal 2,
Yeah.
you know, like, well, good job, Anduin.
And that's worth bringing up. We were hesitant at the time to say it was correct to play Boom. I mean, it's Fibonacci. He knows this deck inside and out. If he does it, it's probably right. But we were thinking there were merit to not playing it. Look at how different this game would have been if he just had armor. He'd probably be at a higher health total, but maybe not. Maybe he would have just taken so much chip damage because he didn't have the value to lock down the board.
Also, as well, let's bear in mind that we mentioned it earlier, in Dog's version of this Priest, there is no Shadow Reaper Anduin.
Yes.
And that would have,
Which would have been nuts.
Well, imagine Dog having a limited deck and deal 2 every time he plays a card, right?
You could have just won him the game.
The game gets played, you know. So many little things coming out to play in this series overall, and especially this one game.
As, man, from Fibonacci as well, the elephant in the room in this scenario is these security rovers against Mass Hysteria. Look at what they're doing. It's just Dog can't clear this board.
That's it, and if Dog makes a minion, execute.
Yeah. It's all just
Yeah,
dealt
so I
way
think-
too easily.
I think now is the point where Fibonacci's tipping over the edge of a victory. Not that he was ever out of control, but here it's just like, well, now Dog can't stick a minion or clear Fibonacci's board, and then, well, yeah, Priest only has 30 health. There's only so much they can do.
And I mean, I was saying it's a deck that literally cannot pressure. This is what Dr. Boom allows you to do. This is one of the biggest factors of this card in any matchup. It's just giving you that inevitability. because
That's not
eventually-
correct, our approach, right? One card opens up a flurry of options late game. Very powerful.
As Dog is still holding back.
But this is the issue,
On the
right?
Mass Hysteria.
Now 5 damage.
Yeah, yeah.
And then next turn, it might be 6 damage, and then that's just going to tick up, whilst Dog can do 0 damage to Fibonacci right now.
And obviously Fib has the healing effects of Weapons Project, the Dry Whisker Armorer, and whatever else he wants to throw in there as well. Even just the hero power, but Dog healing 2 a turn is not that good.
No, not when Fib's doing this kind of pressure. As you said, even if you discover once every 4 turns, as long as you get, and you often do get a good choice of discover from Max, you just pick the value ones, such as the Security Rover, as you mentioned earlier, because this is just more dudes.
However, if Dog can clear this up...
No, I don't want to hear it, Darren.
He's not in... I mean, he still probably loses, I think, but he's surviving for the moment. So does he just play Mass Hysteria here? Even this outcome with the Security Rover spawning an extra bot...
Could just execute this Rover.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
And just make it clean.
Yeah.
Just execute the Rover and say, right, you're done.
Yeah.
Did Fib Deadman's hand a Rover? I can't even remember anymore.
I just don't know.
Okay, well, there's Velen from a res, a heal for 4, but that's like more or less the whole turn. Execute on the Rover makes sense because, as we mentioned, you can't just have one minion create 10 over a couple of turns, right? It is too much value. But pick your poison, Fib.
He's, quote-unquote, going aggressive here with the hero power to face, as well as using the...
This is relevant, though, because it's 9 damage, right?
Absolutely. It's kind of a joke that he's
This
going to be
happens
aggressive.
one more turn, and he could just be dead.
Yep. As well as Mass Hysteria.
Almost out of cards.
Possibly, sometimes it clears the board. I'm not even sure. Is it like 66% clears the board?
Yeah, so basically, in this one, the 2 outside minions have to attack each other first.
Well, they have to attack the middle one first, because if they attack each other, there's still a 2-3 left on board.
Yeah, but it doesn't attack anything. If they're both dead.
Yeah.
The 2 outside minions both attack. Oh, sorry, I'm saying for 1 to live.
Right, sorry.
Apologies.
Yeah,
We're on 2 ends of the stick here.
We are.
If, like, for the second middle one to live, the 2 others attack first.
So more likely to clear the board than not here. And, you know, Dog has a decent follow-up then. He could go Mass Hysteria into Resurrect. He's wondering if he should go for it first because maybe he gets Ziliax that he wants to attack into something right away, but he's not dying next turn, so he doesn't need to get the rush on Ziliax. Maybe he's thinking it increases his odds. Like, even if he just gets a Witchwood Grizzly, that pretty much then guarantees a board clear, I think.
Interestingly enough, I'm not 100% sure what these two cards are. And Fib's hand is looking slightly worse now because it's Brawl, 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 the double Deadsmans, and then an Execute on top. So I actually don't know what those two cards are. I imagine they're not terrible because Fib will be used to tracking this sort of.
Another Brawl. This is the problem in Deadman's Hand. If you don't use the cards you don't want earlier on, they multiply.
Or if you use the cards without playing Deadmans and taking the hit on a bigger deck.
Could Dog possibly bring this back?
Could Dog create a Pog chat? Because, well, this is what I was saying with the Eternal Servitudes, right? You can pop 2 a turn, or 1 a turn, depending on whether you're bothered about Brawl, which we can see he should be bothered about Brawl right now. But Dog can create just a big dude every single turn. The problem is, does he just die sometimes because his heal is mediocre already? These 3/1/1s beat Dog's hero power if this isn't a taunt.
And therefore he needs to charge Devil Saw into one of them.
Hey, Gilnane roll card isn't so bad.
Yeah. Is the one that he would rather Power Word replicate next turn? I suppose the Devil Saw because that charges rather than crashes.
So now, Deadman's Hand into Execute? Let's see what the last card is. Oh!
Another Brawl.
Wow. So Fib taking so long on the Deadmans.
Yeah. And
it means there's no Rover, there's no Spark Drills.
There's nothing. It's just what his hero power gives him.
If Fib, and there is a world, lives, can only now never discover mechs in some way, never mind, then this is just a whole lot of Brawl for not a lot here.
Well, he's got to start off with Servitude. It's the only play for
Servitude Replicate, right? Whatever. Pick Harrison.
That's not a good selection, though. Imagine if he got Ziliax there.
Right, but if you pick Harrison and then replicate, well, Deadman's Hand in the others is still fine. You have 2 replicates left.
Yeah.
And Dog, when someone Deadman's Hands, you see the opponent sees them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so is he going for mechs because of the chance of...
Oh, discovering a Dynamatic from his opponent.
Yeah, exactly. So they're immune to Dynamatics. Oh, there's Beryllium.
That's a pretty deep dive. The War Gear is tempting, but he should he know that his opponent has Execute?
I believe so.
Can he have
played
the
one?
Right, yeah, okay.
I think Deadman's and then Execute in the same turn. I might be slightly wrong. But
Either way,
also, it's just a 4/9 untargetable.
Yeah.
Like, it's 1-off lethal. Oh, and the Zap as well. Dog has to heal for more than 2, and he can't.
Wait, didn't Fib have lethal then with the War Gear magnetized on?
Oh, yeah?
What? I didn't even realize. I wasn't even looking at lethal. We both missed it.
Wow, we're so deep. Working out what goes on 20,000 turns into this game. It doesn't matter. Dog finally is slain with this deck for 2 games now in this series. Fib takes the win. That was nutty. We said, what would happen if he had Deadman's Hand twice? We were silly.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for, people. That's a lesson taught.